hopefully we're going to get through this. Together, something is going to happen here. And I'm still hoping for that.
So Loni, first of all, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I want the audience to really get your personal story in context of everything that has happened here and your volunteering with MADA. So why don't we start when you were younger and what kind of inspired you to become a part of this?
So in Israel, there's a program, I mean, not a program, everyone has to volunteer, do some sort of volunteering in 10th grade. And I wanted to be in Magendabi드아돔. I mean, it was and still is like the prestige thing to do, to be able to volunteer. And my mother's a nurse. And I was looked for the way to help other people. So that was it for me. And I started volunteering the summer of, I did my volunteering course in the summer between 9th and 10th grade. I began 10th grade and I started volunteering. And I was hooked. I mean, you get to meet people in their best situation, in their worst situation, to hold their hand, to be there with them, to just be able to help people is something that has always given me this sort of fulfillment feeling. And I mean, I'm not going to tell you how many years after that, but many, many years after that, I'm still here, and still every single time I can help someone, it just, I feel like I can, kind of gives me the right to live sort of thing. I love it. I absolutely love it.
That's amazing. So at what point did you realize this was something you just wanted to do for the rest of your life?
It's kind of weird to say, but during the second Intifada, I live in Jerusalem.
So
I lived
early
back then
2000s.
also. Early 2000s, exactly. We had a lot of serious calls to treat, and I kept on having the feeling that everyone asked me, why are you doing this to yourself? And I was like, because I can. And then all of a sudden I understood my ability to do something like this gives me the feeling that I have to do it. I mean, not I have to do it in a bad way, but since I can, this is kind of my calling, I guess you would say, or something. I love helping people. And this is a way to do it that isn't going too far into or staying too far away, just being there for people when they need me the way that they need me, sort of thing.
Right. I mean, that takes a lot of inner strength to be in a place where you're dealing constantly with struggling people who need to pull from your strength. So that's very admirable.
Thank you.
So tell me a little bit about October 7th, because I know that, first of all, you were personally involved during that time, and I know we're dealing with people from the outside that are saying it didn't happen or happened in some weird, screwy way. So why don't you start by just telling us your story of October 7th?
Okay, so on October 7th, as I said, I live in Jerusalem, so it started pretty late in Jerusalem. I mean, already at 6:45, I learned later that all of Magendabi드아돔 was told to man every single ambulance because there were already many, many calls received of different things going on down south, of terrorists, of bombing, of missiles and everything like that. And a bit before 8 o'clock, I got a phone call from a friend saying, how are you sleeping? The country's on fire. And I was sure that he was, maybe I was still dreaming. Right. He said, be prepared, you'll be called in soon. And I thanked him, and I hung up thinking last time I was called in was in the beginning of 2000 during the second Intifada. Whatever, not really going to happen. I was really lucky that he called me, because a few minutes later there was a red alert siren in Jerusalem.
Right.
I woke up my two daughters, who were 9 and 12 years old back then, took them to our safe room, and as they're both there crying, trying to understand what's going on, I get a WhatsApp message from my boss saying, everyone come in now. I called her. I can't believe that she answered the phone. But I told her I'm coming with my girls. Is that okay? Because I wouldn't leave them home alone. And she said, yes, just come. So I put them in the car as fast as possible. And I live 10 minutes away from the station. In those 10 minutes, there are 3 red alert sirens on our way to the station. 3 times we stopped our car on the side of the road. My daughters lay face down on the road, me on top of them with my hands on their heads, and my 9-year-old saying, but Ima, who's going to cover your head? And all I could say to her was, as long as you're safe, I'm okay. And then we got to the station. Luckily, the dispatch center is in a bomb shelter, 3 floors underground. All the dispatch centers are now in bomb shelters because of the situation. I left the girls in the kitchen, which is also part of the bomb shelter. I'll be out soon, they know the drill. And then I went in and everyone said, be prepared, it's nothing you've ever dealt with before. And again, I thought to myself, I've dealt with everything. I mean, yeah, whatever, okay. Little did I know Then I started answering the phone calls. The second phone call I received was, "Hi Ronit, it's Amit from Be'eri. What's up? When will you be here?" I had no clue what was going on. I asked her to tell me what's going on there while I read what it already says on the computer about what she already told us. She said, "I'm still in the dental clinic with gunshot victims. A couple are dead, others are in different severity. And when will you be here?" And still trying to grasp the whole situation, I asked her to look out the window to tell me what she sees. And she says, "I only see terrorists and a lot of shooting." And I asked her, "Do you see any civilians?" She said, "Yeah, but they're all lying dead." "So when will you be here?" And she was just all optimistic the whole time, and I had no idea what to answer her. I said, "Please hold," turned to my supervisor, asked her, "What's going on? I have a paramedic in Be'eri with gunshot victims. What do I tell her when we'll be there?" And you hear silence on the line for a second, and then I turn back to her and I say, "Amit, I'm really sorry. You're one of ours, so I can tell it to you as it is. I don't know. Be'eri is in the middle of a war zone. We're trying our hardest to reach you, but so far we haven't managed to. You continue doing what you're doing. You're doing a great job. We'll get there as soon as we can." And her voice completely changed, and she said, "I understand, thank you," and hung up the call. Turns out that she treated victims in the clinic for almost 8 hours until the men manning the clinic ran out of ammunition. The terrorists came in, they shot her first in the leg. She was found with a tourniquet tied to her leg to continue to be able to treat the patients. And then they shot her in the head. And she was found only 2 days later because the terrorists had booby-trapped the clinic. And when she was finally found, she was found still with the medical gloves on her hands, because that's the kind of person that she was. She was there for her patients 100%, not thinking about what could happen to her, only thinking about the good of her patients. And I actually had another call from her the same day, which pretty much went the same way. And even though this is, Amit especially, is to many people in Israel a very devastating story, to me she's an inspiration. For the caregiver, I hope I'll always be able to be someone who always puts her patients in front of her, who sees what she can do and keeps on staying optimistic and just thinking of how she can help. And that's, to me, what I hope I can be. I was there for 13 hours that day. Unfortunately or luckily, I only remember about 10 calls because my soul won't let my subconscious deal with it or whatever. But in those calls, I don't remember every single person I spoke to, from what I know, died. No one survived that day. There was this man who actually, his sister-in-law called me. She was in Netanya with her sister, her pregnant sister, saying her husband is down south. He was at the music festival. We don't know what's going on with him. Just call him to see that he's okay. And I call this man, and he sounds really faint on the line from the beginning. And he says, and I ask him, what does he see around him? Does he know anyone? He says, "I only see terrorists. I don't see anything else, and there's a lot of shooting." "Okay, are you injured? I can help you treat your injury in the meantime." And he says, "There's something in my legs, but I can't look down. I can't look down, I'm only looking straight forward." I say, "Okay, if you can't look down, continue looking straight forward. I want you to think of your wife, to think of your unborn child, how much you love them, how you'll do everything in your ability to stay strong for them." And the man started sobbing, and then he faded away. And I'm pretty sure that was the moment that he died. And seriously, that day, I keep on reminding myself that I did everything I could to help everyone. But it always feels like there must have been something more. Like a lot of friends, we have a lot of talks about this, how we did everything that we could and there was no one who knew how to deal with the situation, because this was a situation that really we did not know how to deal with. I mean, a friend of mine sitting right next to me as my daughter's coming in to get a hug, at the doorway, he's answering a call of a house that was direct hit by a missile, and you hear him shouting on the line, "Did you say both his arms and his legs are amputated?" And it's just like, you don't know how to, it's a day that, seriously, you don't know how to deal with everything that's going on. And on the TV all the time, there showed like 20-something people killed, when each of us had phone calls from hundreds. So it was just a day of complete chaos, confusion, helplessness, even hopelessness, that we just kept on trying to do everything we possibly can to help other people. I mean, there are other calls that I can tell you about if you want. Mm-hmm. There was a call with, it was actually later on that day, a woman saying, "Hi, I need an English speaker." I said, "Came to that person." And she said, "Okay, well, my neighbor is at home with her husband. We're on this kibbutz. She's right next door to me, and her husband was shot." I said, "Okay, you send me your location," which is, by the way, something amazing that thanks to the locations that we got, the IDF used them for a few weeks later to find the bodies of people who weren't saved. She sent me her location. I wrote that it was the house next to her. And I call this woman, and she's this sweet, sweet American woman speaking all calmly, saying, "Hi, I'm so sorry to disturb. I know you're busy. I know it's a crazy day, but I'm here with my husband, and he was shot, so I just want you to know we're waiting for you." And I say to her, "But is he okay? I don't hear anything. I don't hear him. I only hear her speaking." Yeah, he's fine. We're just staying calm." "Where was he shot?" "In his lower back." "Okay, so in the meantime, apply pressure. Are you sure that he's conscious? I can't hear anything." And she said to me, yes, we're okay. We're just staying calm together." "Okay, so apply pressure. If anything changes, please call. I'll be here all day. If you don't find an English speaker, tell them to patch you through to me. I will be here." "Okay, thank you. And really, we're okay. Just know that we're waiting for you." Hang up the call. That's all I hear from them. 2.5 months later, I'm working in the dispatch center, and I get a phone call from the missing persons dispatch center, whatever it is, asking for a recording of a phone call from October 7th. I patch them through to the headquarters because I can't reach recordings, and I listen to the call. And he says, "It was a call made out from your dispatch center. It was with this kibbutz. It lasted 144 seconds, and it was in English." And after they finish their conversation, she goes to look for the recording. I call her back, the person from the headquarters. I say, "Was that by any chance a call that I received?" She said, "Yeah, how do you know?" And it's not nice to say, but this woman and her husband were as if my one hope of the day, because they were so calm and they were so everything will be okay sort of thing. 2.5 months later, they're still missing. A couple of months after that, I found out that they were declared dead. And it's just like the punches don't stop coming sort of thing. I mean, I got a phone call from a woman asking us to take her brother's body that's lying right outside of her house in one of the cities. "Please just come already. I already called, but you gotta come." And I see that there's a call open. Hang up with her. Another woman, the call right afterwards, saying, "Please remove my brother's body." I said, "But you just spoke to me." She said, "No, I didn't." And then she said she was in a different city. It was all over the place. And our personnel being also targeted, our ambulances being shot at, the terrorists going into the kibbutzim and straight away going to the ambulance to shoot an RPG at it, or to shoot the tires and the windows to make sure that it won't, or shooting them while the ambulance are driving to patients, killing and injuring our team members. It's something that we never thought we would need to do.
Right. You know, you were telling Amit's story. We went down to Be'eri and we saw the clinic. So, and you know, they hadn't changed anything. They just left it there. And so you walk through and they kind of showed us where different things happened and where they hid, and it was very moving. And I remember thinking, there's something about the way Jews preserve their experiences. Like, there was a chair that had been flipped over outside that was just left. Like, no, like they came, they cleaned up the bodies, they took out the people, but they left at its own memorial, like just. And I remember thinking, people need to come see this while they can, because, you know, like, you can go today to Auschwitz and all these different places and they're all cleaned up, like they're like sterilized, but they're sterile. And we actually called the little documentary that we did, We Are Witnesses, because we said this is the time people need to come and see and experience and you know, and I'm thinking of, you know, you have this personal experience and then you hear on the news people saying, oh, it's been proven this didn't happen, and it's been proven that all these really weird conspiracy theories, like we did it to ourselves. And what goes through your mind when you hear people say this? Because I have, you know, my own thoughts of like, you guys don't believe because you just can't believe that people would be like this, and so you're excusing this. But what goes through your mind when you hear that?
I'm embarrassed to say, but the first thing that goes through my mind is complete anger. It's like, how on earth can you not believe? I mean, I was there. I didn't sleep or eat or anything for months afterwards because of what happened on that day, because of what I experienced, because of what my friends and my colleagues and my kids and everyone in the whole country. Sorry, I'm getting angry just saying it. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. It infuriates me that how can you just take it off as all these weird conspiracy theories. Now I understand we're in an era of conspiracy theories and we need to be understanding and accepting of everyone and all that. And I definitely am. I mean, I work in an organization with anyone and everyone from every religion, sector, everything.
Right.
But when it comes to saying that didn't happen, who are you to say that? Sorry, it just gets me really angry.
I'm a person that thinks forward, and I think 30 years from now, 50 years from now, I just want to document as much as possible people who were there, people that experienced it, people that have firsthand testimonies that you just, you can sit and try to work out, this order was given and this thing was done, but you can't negate a personal experience. So I'm sorry to get you mad, but I appreciate it.
It's not you, it's them.
It's a necessary, it's a necessary experience that we need to give them. So since October 7th, what has changed in your hitnalut? How just kind of how your work is. I know this place was supposed to open October 9th.
And it did.
And it did in full force and fully ready. It's interesting that clearly someone was almost right on the dot in terms of being prepared and having because I saw all over the news they were having people come and donate blood. I've given twice since the beginning of the war. I remember we actually went down and volunteered with agriculture with my daughter right before she went into the army, and then we came up and we donated blood, and I was like, we had a mommy-daughter day.
Oh, that's so nice.
So how have things changed in how the organization functions in terms of you guys' capacity and your involvement?
The organization definitely understands from the morning of October 7th since that we need to be a lot more prepared. I mean, we thought that we were prepared. We were as prepared as we could be. We had a lot of sessions preparing us for if we get attacked from every single front sort of thing at the same time. We had all that. I actually met the guy a couple of weeks into the war. I was like, Felix, you were right. It's like, yeah, I can't believe it. I didn't think I would be either, sort of thing. But that's our dark humor, sorry. We understand we need to be more prepared. We understand we need to help also the communities be more prepared. So first of all, it's by upping the amount of ambulances we have, making sure that we have enough equipment, also backup equipment, also in stations in case people won't be able to get to the hospitals and stuff like that.
That is something that they targeted on October 7th was the ambulances. To jump you back there. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so on October 7th, the ambulances were targeted where they were parked and also when they were driving on the roads. A lot of the terrorists knew exactly where the ambulances were on the kibbutzim because they had gone into the kibbutzim before as friends of the members of the kibbutz. So they knew exactly where the ambulance was, and we have videos of their GoPro cameras going on the kibbutz, walking straight to the ambulance and shooting at the ambulance and shooting an RPG on the ambulance. And actually someone even told me that one of the ambulance was his shield. He was down on one of the kibbutzim on October 7th, and the terrorists were on one side, they were on the other side. The ambulance was already taken out of commission, so they used it as a shield between them and the terrorists. There was an ambulance driver who had taken, always on the high holidays, we have a higher level of alertness. Anyway, no matter what's going on in the country. So this ambulance driver, an ultra-religious guy, had taken an ambulance home because he was requested to over the Shabbat Chag, and he was sent out just towards Urim, towards the area of the festival. And on his way out, when he was still in Ofakim, he went by a back road because he thought maybe that way he would be safer. And terrorists ambushed him, shot the ambulance. He died on the spot. The ambulance banged into a wall, and his wife and 2 kids were left alone. And he was only found a few hours later because his GPS was jammed. He didn't answer the radio, and no one knew where he was, sort of thing. There was another ambulance on the way to treat a couple at the entrance to Sderot, and on their way, the ambulance was shot at. The driver was badly injured, And that was when they understood that there were terrorists inside Sderot. So they said, everyone stay home, because luckily there are a lot of people in Sderot are people. So stay home. The medic who was with him drove him to a paramedic's house, and the paramedic treated him inside his house for a few hours until a bulletproof ambulance could actually take him to the hospital. Altogether, there were 14 ambulances taken out of commission that day.
And some of these were used to bring children from the Gaza border to get treatment, right?
Yes, there was a lot of cooperation between Magendabi드아돔 and the Red Crescent and the Red Cross to help people also from Gaza, from everywhere. I mean, we do it the same thing with Jordan, the same thing with all those areas, taking sick people who are in serious condition to get better treatment in Israeli hospitals.
I know my daughter actually was in the hospital at one point, and we shared a room with a little 2-year-old who they had brought from Gaza.
Really?
And he was getting treated for the second time. He had some sort of heart condition, and it was, so
Wow.
actually knew people down there, and I was like, I gave her my stroller, and it was their amazing experience when it's just a one-on-one thing. So, I had another question. Tell me about, because you were just sharing the story, on October 7th, when people started coming and donating blood and lining up.
That was amazing.
I think the fact that there was a line was its own miracle.
It was okay. So they opened around noonish. They opened blood centers in 4 locations in the country. First of all, the amount of blood that Magendabi드아돔 had then was very, very low because it was the end of the high holidays. And during the high holidays, everyone eats, sleeps, and eats some more, sort of thing. No one will actually, people are on vacation, they don't go to donate blood, whatever. Not very much blood. They opened the blood donations in 4 locations in the country and also in Jerusalem, which is what I experienced. And people came straight from synagogue with their prayer shawls on them. And women came straight from home with the pots of food so that people have something to eat, so they'll be able to donate blood. Students came because they were supposed to start studying the next week, and volunteers from Eastern Jerusalem, either Christian or Muslim, came to fill out the forms for all the religious Jews who can't fill out forms because it's Shabbat. And then these hundreds of people stood online around the corner, which is something that Israelis, as you know, don't know how to do.
Serious sign of respect.
Exactly. We're standing online. Whenever there was a red alert siren, they went down to -3 to where the dispatch center is, to the kitchen next to it, to say hi to my kids. No, just kidding. To be safe from the missiles that were thrown towards Jerusalem. And then they went back up and stood online again. And sooner or later, they started praying or singing, or a bit of a mixture of both of them. And this is on the ground floor. And somehow, from the dispatch center, which I'm sorry to say, kind of felt like the dungeon of doom, this dark, dark, dark place that we were in, we all of a sudden heard the singing coming down 3 floors, like this warm, gentle, gentle light coming through all of us. And even though we were so confused, frustrated, angry, upset, any negative feeling that you could think of, we were feeling it that day. These people singing and seeing them in the camera there just gave us for a second a feeling that we can breathe, that everyone is doing anything that they can. We have no clue what's going on, but everyone's doing everything they can to help. And that was, to me, like the first sparkle of light that, okay, hopefully we're going to get through this. Together, something is going to happen here. And we're still hoping for that.
Finally, there's a lot of people watching this who live in the West. They kind of feel a little bit like, well, what can I do to help? Tell us. I mean, I've seen with my own eyes now the ambulances with like the UK written on the side. This was provided by the UK. What are some very practical, logistical ways that people in the West can help?
So first of all, of course, ambulances and equipment and everything like that, of course, can help. We're always working on getting more, making sure we'll be prepared for whatever arrives. But in addition, there's also a possibility for people from overseas to volunteer in Magendabi드아돔.
Wow.
There's a special overseas program for people aged 18 to 30. They can come here, they can do their training with us, and then go on the ambulance, be with Israeli teams, and go on the ambulance to treat patients in Israel. I mean, besides the fact that they're helping the patients, it's also quite an experience for the volunteers to meet Israel in a way that no one else can meet it. To get to go into houses of Muslim families, of ultra-religious Jews, and of everything in between. To see, I mean, it's quite the experience, and it also really, really helps Magendabi드아돔. I mean, we have a lot of volunteers, but any person who is in it with their heart, we're happy to have them with us.
Our heart, your heart together. Thank you for the tour. Thank you for your time. Thank you for not buckling under the pressure. Thank you for being the voice to people who really need their lives enriching, and they probably need therapy as well. Maybe you do. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so much.